December 26, 1944. Late afternoon. Supreme Headquarters Allied Expeditionary Force, Versailles, France. The office was cold. Winter had settled over Europe like a blanket. General Dwight Eisenhower sat at his desk, staring at maps of the Ardennes, maps covered in red marks showing German advances, blue marks showing American positions, and one circle around a small Belgian town. Bastogne surrounded, cut off, running out of time. The phone rang. Eisenhower's aide answered, listened for a moment, then turned to Eisenhower. "Sir, General Patton is calling from Luxembourg." Eisenhower reached for the phone immediately. His hand was steady, but his jaw was tight. He had been waiting for this call, hoping for it, dreading what Patton might say if the news was bad. "George," Eisenhower's voice was controlled, calm, but everyone in the office could hear the tension underneath. "Ike, we're through to Bastogne." 4 words. That was all Patton said at first. 4 words that changed everything. Eisenhower did not respond immediately. He turned away from his staff. His shoulders dropped. The tension that had been holding him together for 7 days released all at once. When he turned back, his eyes were wet. Not quite tears, but close. "George, say that again. You're through." Patton's voice came back strong, confident. "Confirmed, Ike. Captain William Dwight's company from the 37th Tank Battalion made first contact at 1650 hours. The paratroopers are battered but holding. We are pushing supplies through now. The corridor is narrow, but it's open." Eisenhower closed his eyes for just a second. Then he spoke, and his voice was thick with emotion. "George, congratulations, you did it. You actually did it." There was more to the conversation. Details about the corridor, German counterattacks, supply convoys, but for that first moment, all that mattered was those 4 words. "We're through to Bastogne." The impossible had been done, and Patton had done it. To understand what this moment meant, you have to go back 7 days. To December 19, 1944. To an emergency meeting in a converted French army barracks in Verdun. The situation was desperate. 3 days earlier, over 200,000 German soldiers had smashed through American lines in the Ardennes forest. Nobody saw it coming. Allied intelligence had missed it completely. American units were being overrun, surrounded, destroyed. The 101st Airborne Division had been rushed to Bastogne, a critical road junction. They dug in, held the town, but German forces surrounded them, cut them off. By December 19, the paratroopers were running low on ammunition, low on food, low on medical supplies. If Bastogne fell, German armor could split the Allied armies in 2, could reach the coast, could turn the tide of the entire war. Eisenhower called the emergency meeting. He needed someone to relieve Bastogne fast. The room was full of generals, Bradley, Devers, Patton, others, all staring at maps, all calculating. The mood was grim. This was the biggest crisis the Allies had faced since D-Day. Eisenhower spoke first. His voice was steady, determined. "The present situation is to be regarded as one of opportunity for us, not disaster. There will be only cheerful faces at this table." Some generals nodded. Others looked doubtful. Then Eisenhower asked the critical question. "How soon can someone attack north to relieve Bastogne?" Silence. Every general in the room started calculating. Logistics, troop movements, supply lines, the winter weather. The roads clogged with retreating Americans. The Germans dug in along every approach. It seemed impossible. Every unit was in the wrong place. Every road was blocked. Every plan would take weeks. Then Patton spoke. "I can attack with 2 divisions in 48 hours, 3 divisions in 72 hours. Every head in the room turned, stared at Patton. Some thought he was joking. Others thought he was grandstanding again, making promises he could not keep. 48 hours to disengage 3 divisions from active combat, rotate an entire army 90 degrees, move over 100,000 men and thousands of vehicles through snow and ice, launch a coordinated attack against hardened German positions. It was operationally impossible. Eisenhower leaned forward, looked Patton in the eye, His voice was quiet but firm. "George, I want you to understand something. The 101st Airborne is surrounded. If they're overrun, it's a catastrophe. Militarily and for American morale. When you say December 22nd, do you mean that? Or are you being optimistic?" Patton met Eisenhower's gaze, did not blink. "Ike, I've already done the planning. My staff has 3 contingency plans prepared. I anticipated this meeting before you called it. On December 22nd, my 4th Armored Division will attack north toward Bastogne. I stake my career on it." Eisenhower studied Patton for a long moment. He had known Patton for decades, served with him, fought with him, been frustrated by him countless times. Patton was brilliant, aggressive, effective, but also arrogant, insubordinate, controversial. Eisenhower had almost relieved him multiple times, the slapping incidents in Sicily, the speeches that caused diplomatic problems, the constant grandstanding. But right now, none of that mattered. Right now, Eisenhower needed someone who could do the impossible, and Patton was the only general in the room promising he could. Eisenhower made his decision. "All right, George, you've got your chance. But understand this. If you can't deliver, if those paratroopers are lost because you promised what you couldn't achieve, there will be consequences. No more second chances." Patton nodded once. "I'll be there, Ike, count on it." After the meeting ended, Eisenhower pulled his chief of staff aside. General Walter Bedell Smith. Later, Smith recorded what Eisenhower said. "The boss told me he was taking a huge gamble on George. If Patton failed, both their careers might be over." But Ike believed, maybe for the first time, that George would actually follow through. The stakes were high enough that even Patton wouldn't dare exaggerate. Over the next 48 hours, Eisenhower received regular updates. Third Army was moving, actually moving, disengaging from combat in the Saar region, turning north. Columns of tanks and trucks rolling through snow, artillery batteries displacing, infantry loading onto transports. The reports were almost unbelievable. Patton was actually doing it. December 22 came, Third Army attacked north. The 4th Armored Division led the assault. The 26th and 80th Infantry Divisions followed. The fighting was brutal. German forces had established defensive positions along every approach to Bastogne. Every mile was contested. Tank battles in frozen fields, infantry fighting through forests and villages. But Third Army kept pushing, kept attacking, kept moving forward. Inside Bastogne, the 101st Airborne held on. Barely. They were down to their last ammunition, last medical supplies. On December 22, the Germans demanded surrender. Brigadier General Anthony McAuliffe sent back his famous reply, "Nuts." The paratroopers were not giving up. They knew Patton was coming. December 23, December 24, December 25, Third Army fought forward, mile by mile. The weather was terrible, snow, ice, freezing temperatures. Vehicles broke down, men suffered frostbite. But the advance continued. Eisenhower received updates every few hours. Patton was getting closer, but would he get there in time? December 26, afternoon. The 4th Armored Division made its final push. First Lieutenant Charles Bulge commanded the lead tank, Cobra King. His unit broke through the last German positions. At 4:50 p.m., they made contact with elements of the 101st Airborne at Eisenhower. The siege was broken. That is when Patton made his phone call. "Ike, we're through to Bastogne." After Eisenhower hung up the phone, he sat in silence for a moment. His staff waited, watching. Then Eisenhower turned to them. His voice was steady now, controlled, but everyone could hear the emotion underneath. "Gentlemen, George Patton has just accomplished something I wasn't sure was possible. He promised December 22nd, and he delivered December 26th. Given the weather and the conditions, that's close enough to miraculous." Then Eisenhower smiled. His staff rarely saw him smile like that, broad and genuine. Get me a message to the 101st. Tell them relief has arrived, and send my personal congratulations to General Patton and Third Army. They've just changed the entire complexion of this battle. Within hours, Eisenhower faced decisions about public messaging. The Battle of the Bulge had created panic back home. Newspapers were speculating about German victory, about Allied collapse, about whether American forces could stop the Wehrmacht. Bastogne's relief was the first genuinely good news since the offensive began. Eisenhower's public statement, released on December 27, was carefully crafted. Units of Lieutenant General George S. Patton's Third Army have successfully broken through to relieve American forces surrounded at Bastogne. This operation, executed under extremely difficult winter conditions and against determined enemy resistance, demonstrates the fighting quality of American soldiers and the operational excellence of their commanders. The defenders of Bastogne displayed extraordinary courage and determination. Their relief by Third Army forces marks a turning point in repelling the German offensive. The statement was diplomatic, praised both the 101st Airborne's defense and Third Army's relief operation. But what Eisenhower said privately was more revealing. To British Field Marshal Montgomery, who was coordinating the northern response, Eisenhower wrote, "Patton's performance in relieving Bastogne was exceptional. The speed with which he pivoted his army and launched a coordinated attack exceeded my expectations. And I suspect German expectations as well." To General Omar Bradley, Patton's immediate superior, Eisenhower was more candid. "George delivered when it mattered most. Whatever frustrations I've had with his behavior and insubordination, this operation justifies my decision to keep him in command. He did what no other general could have done." But Eisenhower also sent a personal note to Patton, and this message revealed the complexity of their relationship. "George, congratulations on a brilliant operation, brilliantly executed. Your planning, your army's execution, and your personal leadership made the difference. I am proud of what Third Army accomplished. However, I want to be clear. This does not erase previous issues or give license for future insubordination. You've proven what you can do when you follow orders and work within the command structure. Continue doing that, and there's no limit to what you can achieve." The message was pure Eisenhower, genuine praise combined with a reminder of boundaries. He wanted Patton to understand that success did not excuse everything. In the days following Bastogne's relief, Eisenhower's private writings revealed his complex feelings about Patton and the operation. These were not public statements, they were honest reflections. On December 28, Eisenhower wrote to his wife Mamie, "Patton has done something remarkable. I've spent so much time being frustrated with George, his ego, his controversies, his insubordination, that I sometimes forget why I keep him in command." Bastogne reminded me, when the stakes are highest, when the situation seems impossible, George delivers. I don't know if any other general could have done what he did. That's simultaneously reassuring and concerning. Am I too dependent on one difficult man? To General George Marshall, Army Chief of Staff, Eisenhower was more analytical. The Bastogne operation demonstrates both the strengths and challenges of coalition command. Patton's operational execution was flawless. Exactly the kind of aggressive mobile warfare we need. However, his ability to anticipate this crisis and prepare contingency plans raises questions. Patton prepared for a German offensive that most of us didn't see coming. He was right and we were wrong. How do we balance that foresight against the need for unified command? In his personal diary, Eisenhower was brutally honest. "George exhausts me. Managing him takes more energy than managing 3 normal commanders, but what he accomplished at Bastogne justified every frustration, every controversy, every moment I wanted to relieve him. The paratroopers at Bastogne owe their lives to George's speed and aggression. The Battle of the Bulge might have been a catastrophic defeat without his response. I can't fire a man who saves battles. I can't even reprimand him when he's just proven his methods work. This is the impossible position George puts me in. He's right too often for me to change him, but difficult too often for me to enjoy working with him. Perhaps most tellingly, Eisenhower wrote to British Prime Minister Winston Churchill. General Patton has demonstrated why, despite his difficulties, he remains invaluable. His relief of Bastogne may have saved the entire Ardennes campaign. I wanted you to know this because I'm aware of concerns about Patton's temperament. Those concerns are valid, but his operational capabilities are equally valid. And at this moment in the war, we need those capabilities more than we need easy personalities. The relief of Bastogne permanently changed how Eisenhower viewed and managed Patton. It established a new equilibrium in their relationship, one based on proven capability rather than potential, on demonstrated results rather than promised performance. In January 1945, Eisenhower held a commanders' conference reviewing lessons from the Battle of the Bulge. When discussing Third Army's performance, Eisenhower stated publicly, "General Patton's relief of Bastogne represents one of the outstanding operational achievements of this war. The speed, coordination, and aggressiveness displayed by Third Army set a standard for mobile warfare. Other commanders would do well to study this operation." This was significant. Eisenhower was essentially holding up Patton as a model, something he had been reluctant to do given Patton's controversies. But Bastogne had earned Patton that recognition, at least operationally. However, Eisenhower also made clear this did not mean unlimited license. In a private meeting with Patton in February 1945, Eisenhower reportedly said, "George, Bastogne brought you credibility that will last the rest of this war. Don't waste it. You've proven you can do the impossible when it matters. Now prove you can follow orders when they don't suit your preferences. Be the general I know you can be, the one who delivers miracles but also respects command structure." For the remainder of the European campaign, Eisenhower gave Patton more operational freedom than he gave other commanders. Third Army received ambitious objectives and the resources to achieve them, with less micromanagement than before Bastogne. Eisenhower had learned that Patton performed best when given clear objectives and room to maneuver. Years after the war, in his memoir Crusade in Europe, Eisenhower wrote, "General Patton's relief of Bastogne vindicated my decision to retain him despite numerous controversies. His rapid movement of 3 divisions through terrible weather, his aggressive attack, and his breakthrough to the surrounded garrison demonstrated operational excellence at the highest level. History will judge Patton by his battlefield achievements, and Bastogne stands among his finest." In private correspondence decades later, Eisenhower was more personal. "George and I had a complicated relationship. He frustrated me constantly, but when I got that phone call on December 26, 1944, hearing we're through to Bastogne, I felt profound relief and gratitude. In that moment, all the frustrations didn't matter. George had saved those paratroopers and possibly saved the entire Ardennes campaign. That's what I remember most, not the controversies, but the moment when he delivered exactly when it mattered most." The phone call that announced Bastogne's relief was more than a tactical update. It was vindication, validation, the defining moment of the Eisenhower-Patton relationship. What Eisenhower said in response revealed admiration, relief, and the burden of commanding difficult genius. 4 words from Patton: "We're through to Bastogne," and a lifetime of complicated command decisions justified in that single moment.